Los retos académicos comienzan aquí.
CICE 2012.
Benemérita Universidad Autónoma de Puebla.
La Facultad de Ciencias de la Comunicación, somos de sala de prensa, camarógrafa Alejandra, y estoy con Lance Strate, una pequeña entrevista acerca de la presentación de su libro. Some interview about your book on the painting biases of time and other essays on general semantics and media ecology.
Yes, on
Is
the
your book?
binding biases of time.
In the chapter 10 is about the, you said about Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
And the question is, what about, you say that what do you mean about the...
About Lord of the Rings?
The poetry?
About?
Media literature, you said about literature is mediatic, is the medios, is the...
Well, you're asking about Lord of the Rings or poetry, or both?
The relationship about two.
Well, I mean, the chapter on Lord of the Rings are about Tolkien. The interesting thing and the unique thing about Tolkien is that he was a professor of philology, which is from the humanities, the study of language and literature, and as a hobby, he created fictional languages, and only then, it was like elf languages, and then started to imagine the stories. So it's like out of the language comes the story. And this is the idea that the language as a medium is the basis for the culture that comes out of it. And this was, in a very interesting way, Tolkien, in his way, was playing with language and creating language, just like George Orwell in 1984, in a very different way, was playing with language and talking about a different kind of language, and changing, the idea of changing and controlling language in a totalitarian way. And also James Joyce, all at the same time, was creating his own kind of language and playing with it. As for poetry, poetry is one method for making us aware of language, for making us think about language, because poetry is, in certain ways, playing with words, and so making the language visible, where just when we talk now, we don't think about talking, we don't think about the words, we just do it. And with poetry, you're supposed to think about the words. What do they mean? The sounds of the words and things like that.
Okay, and the other thing is here in Mexico, the corporation is divided in physical persons and the moral person, but obviously your context, your social context here is different. And why do you say the corporation aren't persons?
Because they're not. It's a very interesting question that comes up, and I'm certainly not the first to have dealt with that, but in general semantics, in that area, there is a concern that with symbols, with language, we can say that something is the same as something else. We can say 1 + 1 = 2, and that A equals B, and that one chair is the same as another chair. But in reality, things are different. No two things are alike. You add two things together, and you don't necessarily, one cloud and one cloud don't give you two clouds or twice as big a cloud. That things don't work that way. And so when we talk about, they say a corporation is a person, well, can they get married? Could I marry Warner Brothers, Time Warner Corporation? Can they die? Can they be arrested and put in prison? It starts to introduce all of these questions And the conclusion is, that they're saying, well, corporations have legal rights like persons do. In general semantics, one of the exercises you can do is, okay, eliminate that word, erase that word. What other word would fit in here? And state, right? What is it that has legal rights, that exercises legal rights? It's the state. It's the government. Right? And corporations are better understood as sovereign states. They really are already in many ways, but that's better than saying corporations are persons. It's more true to reality. And that's saying it's better for us, but it's better for our understanding of reality than to say they're persons.
Okay, is all?
Thank you.
Las nuevas tendencias digitales serán tus armas.
CICE 2012. Facultad de Ciencias de la Comunicación.
Benemérita Universidad Autónoma de Puebla.